On air online, lmfm.ie. Care to contact us? You can telephone 1850 715 958. Email address dnelson@lmfm.ie. The results of a 3-year study by my next guest, Irish educationalist Dr. Naoisé O'Reilly, reveals a number of links between the rate of depression and gifted teenagers. She feels that the Irish mock exam structure requires reform. And as the current model is having a huge impact on young lives, here to discuss this issue is Dr. Naoisé O'Reilly. A very good morning to you, Naoisé.
Good morning, how are you?
OK, let's get straight into it. You spent 3 years studying this.
Yes, the Homework Club is 3 years old this week, so it seemed a timely time to release our research and findings over the last 3 years.
Tell us more about the study.
Well, basically, originally I set up the Homework Club to try and include people such as myself who are severely dyslexic into the education system. And what's happened over the last 3 years is that we actually work with a whole spectrum of students from the ages of 6 right through to adults returning to education from a whole different load of backgrounds and a whole variety of conditions and reasons for coming to us. So what I've started to see is the same common themes for everybody, not just for people who are dyslexic or have other conditions. So in a nutshell, really, at this time of the year, I have the same conversation over and over with parents who come to me and with the students, which is basically that the mocks are looming, that they've been told that if they don't do well, that they have to drop down the subject, and that basically you shouldn't be in this class, which is a hugely negative experience for the students. And
they were, in a nutshell, as you say, they were the main findings after this 3-year study.
Yes. So what I've started to see is sort of the impacts of that, the reoccurrence of it, the fact of the difference of whether you're at junior cert level or leaving cert level when this happens, and in the press release, I stated that there was 8 main factors to you doing well in exams. The subject knowledge only being one. And the crazy thing about the mocks is that doing them at this time of the year, that you haven't even completed the course. For ourselves, we work with students for only 35 weeks in a year in order to get amazing results. And at this stage of the year, we've only completed 13 hours of that time. So there's a huge amount of time between June and January for us. And we see, we have a whole work program scheduled for the rest of the year. So, this isn't the time to sort of give up.
Okay. Now, due to your findings and the 3 years you spent on this survey, you're calling on main changes to the mock exam system, aren't you?
Yes, because basically of the other 8 factors, so one of the things that really matters is your actual exam history. So it's like if you went out and crashed your car on your first driving lessons, you'd always have a bit of a fear of whether or not you're going to be a good driver. And it makes going to the second driving lesson very, very hard. So if you go in and you do the mocks and you have a really bad experience, very negative, you're just told everything that you do wrong, you're just given a grade back, you're not really given feedback of where you're going, you're just told to drop down in the subject, regardless of the fact that it might be your only honour subject left, or it might be a subject that you desperately need for your entry requirements for college, for the career that you're choosing to do, or whatever it is. It's a precedent for how you're going to do in June, because that's how you feel about exams. So, these are real people, real lives, real feelings, and this doesn't just have an effect for now and for June, this kind of has an effect for life, because if you talk to anybody, they all have an experience from school and an idea of how good they were as an academic.
Now, what changes would you like to see in place then in the future?
I'd like to see that the mocks being done slightly later. I'd like to see it being done in the spirit that it should be done, which is that it's a test run, it's a test.
Well, hold on, the mocks are done in March, aren't they? And the exam is in June.
Yes. So at the moment, they actually most of our students are starting their mocks next week, which is why I've released this now. So if we do mock exams with our own students, we don't tend to do them until at least Easter. So basically, we do them when enough of the course is completed. The students are feeling quite strong, very motivated, very sort of confident and secure in who they are, but with just enough time afterwards to kind of sort of help them prop up, expand any areas they need to expand, fix any difficulties that have arisen, and basically just do better. So that's a big part of it. So they're far too early. They also need to have far more feedback and evaluation. We do a whole evaluation with our own students in terms of how you've done, why you've done well there, why you haven't, what you need to expand, what's good, where you fell down a little bit. It's a very positive evaluation. It's not just a grade. We've seen horror stories over the years where people have only done a whole English essay and got 0%. And it's kind of like, how can you get 0% in an essay?
I take it
that's not very helpful.
I take it too that you're also looking for a change in the overall public exam system, whereby it really is learn what I know, write it down, and therefore you know as much as I know, which I think, to be quite honest, is the wrong way to educate young minds.
Well, yes, this is a big part of it, and it should be a lot more skills-based. So this comes to another point. Like, one of the reasons we don't do well in exams, and this is one of the findings that we've seen that comes up over and over again, is written structure. So it doesn't matter how much you know, how much you learn off, how much you cram into your head. If you don't have a good writing structure, and you're not good at presenting your ideas, no one's going to mark it very well. Yeah. And this is, again, one of the things that comes back from the mocks. We don't see an evaluation of feedback. We don't see the people sort of look across the board and say, okay, this person didn't do well in all of these subjects. They do very well in history class on a day-to-day basis. Why didn't they do well in the history exam? They've really fallen down in English, the same in geography, and perhaps business studies. And those are all subjects where there's a lot of written structure in the answers. And there's no sort of coherent forward sort of path to get to do better in June.
Well, they were talking about it in my day during the 70s, and they're still talking about it in the 21st century. Hopefully change will be afoot very, very shortly. Thank you very, very much indeed, Naoisé.
Okay, thanks very much.
Dr. Naoisé O'Reilly, and if you want more information, homeworkclub.ie.